Welcome back. This is Board Game Officer. Today we are doing a review slash overview of Deck of Wonders, which is a solo game. It is a 1 to 2 player legacy type strategic card game. The main story of this all is going to be you have stolen the Fate deck, which is this old powerful deck called the Deck of Wonders, and you have stolen it from Fate herself. You stole this deck, and the game is basically all these villains are trying to come and take that Deck of Wonders from you, as well as Fate trying to take it back from you as well. But you could use the powers of the Deck of Wonders to help you through those fights, which will not only help you using it, but also because it's powerful, it can hurt you. So now let's go through just a really quick overview of the gameplay, and then we'll kind of dive deeper into my thoughts of this all. So we come here, this is going to be your main setup. You're going to have your hand, you're going to have your deck, your discard pile, you're going to have certain different rules here. As you can see, these are going to be our legacy packs, and this is what we have to do to open them up. So if you have them out in the field, it just helps you remember what your tasks are. And throughout these, you might get new rule cards that you'll also play out on the board here. Here on the board, we've got the player side and the villain side. And you've got your player health and your villain health. So the first thing you're going to do is you are going to choose a villain to battle against. Once you choose the villain that you're going to play with, or play against, sorry, you are going to go through. This is your basically starter deck of what you can put in your deck to start off with. Now, as you see, if you look real closely here, this symbol here, one, you got color differences, and real tiny there, if you could see, you have one little dot and two little dots. What this is going to go after is going to be the villain. So because this villain is the green villain, you're going to look for all the cards that is green and or the single dot for colorblind. And as you can see, the other one is going to be blue, and it does have 3 little dots there. So because we chose colon, we went through the deck and grabbed all of these ones with that green symbol out. The rest of these get put to the side. Now that is basically the recommended deck. Technically, this is your whole deck, and you could do whatever you want. You can pick out any cards that you want with it. But to start with, grab everything of that single one. Then each villain is going to have their own set of cards as well. As you can see, this one, it is marked with his tree symbol that correlates with colon. So this is I already made up the deck of all of colon's. These ones, as you can see, are going to be the villains that you could play as with their respective decks. Once you have your deck chosen and the enemy's deck, you're actually going to shuffle them all together to create the draw pile. Now, if we look at the card, we see it's double-sided here. We got the side that has 3 on top is going to be the player's side, and the other side around with only 2 is going to be your villain side. And you and the villain use the same deck to battle against each other. Anytime it is the villain's turn, he will draw from the same thing, but he will use the side with only 2 symbols. As for the symbols, we have attack and we have health. Pretty straightforward. This is going to be initiative order, which only matters for the hero, which is why, or the character, the player, which is why it's on the player's side, where the villain does not matter, so it does not have that, and that's how you can tell what side is which. So to start off the game, we'll bring these off the field here. So to start off, the player will go first. You will draw 4 cards into your hand. You can play as many cards as you want, as long as you can pay the cost. As you can see, some of them are going to have a cost. So I have to discard 1 card from my hand to play this out to the field. So I'd have to do that so I can play that out. So you do have to be careful, because if you end up if you put everything down, then you're not going to have anything to discard. So you have to be conscientious of what you're doing with what you're laying down, what you're paying for. Then you have minions here, which are going to have your attack and defense, and then some type of ability. And then you're going to have spells. Once again, these are just to mark player side versus villain side. Spells might have a cost, but you just play them and then you discard them. You do what they say and they go to the discard pile, where minions are going to stay out to the field to fight, right? So player draws a hand. They play anything they want. We'll play this Pixie Mesmerist. When you play, it does come in exhausted and or tap, if you want to say that, meaning you cannot attack with it. Then, for the villain's first turn, they're going to play the first 3 cards. But for quick sakes here, let's say this is just their second turn. So what they do is they just draw the top card and do whatever it says and plays it. As you can see, so we look at the villain's side. This says when we play it, we get to draw 1. So he's going to play it. Comes in exhausted. But it says draw 1, so he gets to draw another one. Then we hear it says destroy the lowest priority player minion. We look at we only have 1. So he destroys that, and that is the villain's turn. Now, at the end of your turn, everything becomes unexhausted. I should have unexhausted my Pixie before the end of my turn. But, so what we're going to do, and then I am going to draw 1 here. Right, I still have my hand. I could play it. Let's say I still had my Pixie out. When you attack, when the player attacks, let's say we have these both unexhausted, I get to choose who I attack. When you attack, you both deal damage to each other, so you can kill each other there. So you have to be conscious of who's attacking who. Also, you can choose to not attack any of them and to attack their life points directly, or their health, the villain's health directly. So if I wanted, I could ignore this one and use this 1 and 2 attack to do 3 damage to the hero, or to the villain. But as you can see, this Pixie Cavalry has 3 health and he only has 1 attack. So if he attacks him, this Gnomish Servant will just get discarded and they will not die because they were not hurt enough, and damage does not roll over from round to round. So you don't have to worry about damage tokens at all. Now let's go to the villain's phase. He's played all of his cards. Now he gets to attack. Let's say he has these 2 unexhausted ready to attack. This is where the priority comes into play. We must place the highest number to the left and then lower to the right. If you have a card with the same initiative number, you can place it in any order you want. This is the battle lineup. You get to choose what villain attacks first. So, and you're going to line up that left to right, and then you're just going to go down the line. And once you get this set up the way you want, the leftmost villain minion will attack the leftmost player minion. However, if he kills him, he does 1 damage back, they would kill each other. Now, so they kill each other. Now you see, this Gnomish Servant cannot kill this Pixie Cavalry, so instead, this guy is just going to attack the hero's life points, or the player's life points by 1. So if the enemy cannot defeat, then it will attack life points. But you can stack enemies' attacks or minions' attacks. So let's say we set it up this way and we had this guy go first. As you can see, he only does 1 health and he has 2 damage. So he cannot attack. However, so you would think he would just attack the life points. However, there are people to his right, so he will stack as many people as he can, or needs to kill that minion. So if we set it up this way, they will do 4 damage just to kill this one, 1 damage to both of them, and they both actually only have 1 health, and they will both die, and we have the Pixie Cavalry. That is the strategic card play right there, is the battle lineup of who's going to attack who, even on the villain's turn. We go back and forth until one of our life points get to 0. Right when it gets to 0, game over, and you go on. If you've completed any of these conditions, then you get to open up these up. They're going to have little flavor text in them, possibly give you more cards to put in the deck, possibly give you more cards to put in this rule, possibly give you a little bit more challenge, give you something else for the next play round. So that is the quick overview of the base game. Now I wanted to talk real quick about the expansion that's coming out soon. Probably might already be out by the time this video is posted. It's called the Masters of Dungeons. This expansion is going to add a few things. One thing it's going to do is it's going to add some dungeon cards. And those dungeon cards you're going to add into this deck. So throughout the game, you will draw these dungeon cards. As soon as you draw it, it's going to have a top and a bottom, just like these do. And one side is, in general, they might change this, it might add more or less. But for what they have right now, more or less, one side is going to have a negative event, but it's going to give you gold. The other one might be a positive event, but then you're not getting the gold. And you get to choose which one you want to do. You choose which one you do, you put it off to the side. It's got a little thing to track which ones you're doing. Anyways, you put it on the left side, and now that rule, either you do it right then, or it's a rule throughout the rest of the game. Now, as you go through the whole deck and find those dungeon cards, at the end of the game, any gold that you got, any gold you got from the cards from doing those negative things, is gold that you get to spend in between sessions to buy new cards to add to your deck. So it is a way right now, the only way you change your deck is through legacy decks. And then if you want to totally switch it up and put some different cards specifically for the other villains in, right, you can split it that way, but this expansion kind of adds in that loot dungeon kind of aspect to it. Also, just as the only other difference is you have the dungeon cards, and then also the first time you set up this battle line for the enemy, you get to exhaust one enemy just as a little benefit towards you, because you're going to have a lot of negatives. If you want that gold, you're going to have a lot of negative things that might happen to you. So as a way to kind of help combat that is you get to exhaust one villain minion at the first battle line of the game. And that is the expansion that's going to come out. Hopefully the link should be down in the description below, so go ahead and check that out if this looks interesting to you. All right, let's go ahead and talk about my pros and cons of this game. So the pros, I love that, right? This right here is the whole setup. Super easy, small setup. The first time I played this game, I was actually on a camping trip I have a pop-up trailer tent, and I was on the bed because other people were doing it on the table, and there wasn't, anyways, I played it on the bed, and it was a very simple setup, right? Because you don't have to have these in front. Literally all you needed was someone to put your deck and the health and your cards. This is the whole setup. I really enjoyed how easy and small it was and quick it was to set up. And I went through how to play very quickly here. Not a complex game, really quick and easy, but I love the strategy, which goes on to my next point, is how tactical and strategic it could really be, right? Kind of my example here was, well, you could take this one out, this one would attack your life points, or if you're really looking at it, you do it the other way, so then they have to combine, so these get taken out. Now you're one up, and you're ready to go, right? That kind of strategy, strategic mindset or thinking, I really, really enjoy. Now, I know my little playthrough here seemed pretty like, oh, just attacking back and forth, back and forth. There's a lot of these spell cards that really mess you up when the villain draws those cards. And it really benefits you when you draw them, right? Which goes on to the next point, is not only is it really strategic like that, you're drawing from the exact same deck. So when you're going through and trying to choose which cards you want in your deck, right, as you're playing, you also have to pay attention to what you're giving the villain, right? Because every card you put in there, like, oh, that's awesome, it could be awesome for the villain, right? And I really like that thought process in the deck building. Also with that, right, it's kind of a deck construction, deck building type of game. So it has that like TCG kind of feel, but everything comes in the game. These legacy packs, or these packs that you opens up, come through legacy. So you still get the aspect of opening up and getting new cards you put in the deck or new rules. But it's not a TCG that you have to go and buy or spend hundreds of thousands of dollars to get all the cards that you want and whatnot. So I really like that it's got that feel of a TCG, but not the money sinker like a TCG. And then, as I said, I love campaign And I like this because of the legacy. The difference, like, right, campaign, it's really hard to start in the middle of it, everything. But with this legacy game, you can bring someone in that's never played before, throw them into this. I've already gone through all of Colin's legacy packs and played him quite a bit. I could bring in a new player and play with them. Like, the fact that I've gone through a couple of legacy packs means nothing for, like, where I'm at, which I really, really like. And one thing I forgot to talk about are upgrades. It actually comes with, and this is part of the legacy, so there are 4 copies of every card. And as you can see, this one has that up and down thing. That is going to be where you can put one of these upgrades. So every time you win, you can do one of these upgrades that goes onto that one single card. So not only do you have a little bit of legacy, you also have some upgrading the cards as well as you go through this, which I really, really enjoy. As you see, I haven't done that yet because I didn't know what I was going to do with this video and gameplay yet. So I haven't put any of these stickers on yet. But even if you don't want to, you can, in the back of the rule book, put down, hey, I have this on this card. And so when you pull out the card there, you just have to look in the rule book to see what you gave it, or if you've given this one anything. So it is kind of harder because you have to keep this out, remember which one's what. However, I do like that they at least gave you an option to not have to put stickers on your cards, because a lot of people don't like that because you already spent so much money on it anyways, right? But I do really like that system. Now let's talk about my cons. My number one is, so I've played this about 5 or 6 times now, and I did lose once, which I think was good, because the first couple times I would get hurt 1, 2, 3 damage maybe, and then I would kill him. So I just felt like I was obliterating him every time. But the one time I did lose, it was pretty much the opposite, where he just destroyed me, right? He was just getting just the right cards. So that con is like, it can be a little swingy in the balance of it. This is the very first villain there. So possibly as you get forward and through the higher one, because they are basically like stacked, right? Because this one says defeat Colin's faded form, and then you can play this villain, right? So they are kind of stacked up. So that balance might come closer together with the higher up villains. But with this, I felt like it was like either I destroyed him or he destroyed me. I do want to caveat, it was not in the sense of I felt like he was doing nothing. I just feel like that I was able to strategically make it so I would one-up him, basically. But, so there was some swinginess. And the next one here, and I don't know if there's a way away from this, which they have tried to combat it a little bit. Anyways, so there's a thing in TCGs called top decking, right? Which means you have no hand because you've played all the cards in your hands over the course of so many rounds. And so you have no more choice. All you do is grab and you're like, well, I guess I'll play that one. Then the next one, well, I guess I'll play that one, right? So there's no more like strategy with what cards you're playing. It's, once again, it goes to that battle line that you're gonna do a lot of that strategy. But I don't love the feel of that top decking where I'm just picking up a card, placing it, picking up a card, placing it, and not really getting to choose what card to play. There were, at least in Colin in this deck setup, there were quite a few that let me draw 2, or a card you could play to draw another one. I did appreciate those because that helped me not have to top deck as much. However, that doesn't always happen. So that was the con there. I wish there was more ways to, like, hey, if you run out of cards, see, but then if you did that, you would just get super strong because you would just lay everything down and draw 3 more cards. So I don't know if that's what I say. I don't know if there's a way around it other than having more cards that let you draw throughout the deck. Other than that, which that is one of the upgrades, is to have +1 player draw. So you get to draw 1 card when you play that card, right? So there is ways to increase that drawing, but that was one of the cons that I saw. These trackers, I both think is awesome in the sense of like, it's an awesome health dial kind of thing that goes in the box, right? That's super convenient just to be able to have some type of tracker in the box. However, I do not like it just because it gets bumped really easy. And you're like, oh snap, did it slide up to 19 or did it slide down to 14, right? Which one is it on? But once again, I understand that this is a small box, right? Not much is going to fit in here. I don't think they could have gone any other way. But just stating as a fact that is not my favorite just because it gets bumped a lot. And I did get to playtest a little bit of the expansion as well. He had a closed TTS version of it that I could at least try. I couldn't buy anything with the gold. There was no cards to buy, but it was at least for you to try to see how those dungeon cards worked. And that was in there. He only had 4 dungeon cards. And so in my playthrough that I did, I only got to 3 of them, which is fine. I think that's totally fine. You don't need to go through all of them. But they definitely had made choices hard of which one I wanted, right? Because you want the gold, but you also want to win and so that choice was actually kind of nice. And I like it because it's like, hey, I'm doing pretty good. I'll definitely take the gold. Cool, I'll take the negative thing. Or if you're losing, it can actually help like, ooh, I would love the gold, but I need this because I need to win. So you leave the gold to the side and take that benefit just to help you through the game. That can be really game changing. So I did enjoy those dungeon cards in the deck. I want more of them because I feel like 4 is good, but I understand you don't want to do too many because then you get through it. Anyways, I would like a couple more just to make it a little bit more different throughout each one. It was just a basic TTS, so I know he's got more coming. But that's basically what I wanted, with just more. Because I like the system, I just wanted more of it. And I'm really interested to see the cards that you could buy, right? Because once again, right, if you get a good one for you, you're also getting a good one for the villain. So what cards are going to be available to buy is what I'm still interested to see in the Kickstarter. That should be up. If it's not up when this video is posted, it will be up soon. So that is my thoughts on Deck of Wonders here. Here in a little bit, I will be doing a giveaway. Dennis, the creator of this game, gave me an extra copy to give away as to my viewers here. So I will be doing a giveaway. However, I'm going to do it in a little bit, probably about a month or so, because I was going to do a big giveaway for my 1,000 subscribers. But I've been moving. Life has happened. I'll just say that. And anyways, so now I'm at 1,500 subscribers. But I still want to do a big giveaway for hitting 1,000 subscribers. So I'm just going to add that one into that mix. So I'll have 3, maybe 4 games to give away in that video. So I'm just going to add it to that pile because I think that would be awesome. Let me know what your thoughts on this game. This game's been out for a while, so what are your thoughts on this and the expansion? And I will see you later.